Hello and welcome to episode 56 of the Legal Genie podcast with me, your host, Lara Quie. And joining me today is Ahmed Elnaggar, founder and managing partner of Elnaggar Partners in Dubai. He is also the founder and president of the Emirates Legal Network Association, a non-profit organization dedicated to fostering a collaborative and inclusive environment for legal professionals in the UAE, empowering them with cutting-edge resources, exceptional networking opportunities, and professional development programs. Not only that, he is also the founder and host of the Jurist, a platform that invites lawyers, legal consultants, and specialists to share their legal expertise and practices related to the UAE's local laws and regulations. With over a decade of experience in corporate structures, succession planning, and trust services, Ahmed has become a really respected leader in the legal industry. His expertise expands beyond legal matters too, though, to business and management consultancy, making him a go-to professional for critical decisions. His expertise in dealing with clients worldwide has equipped him with a deep understanding of international commercial transactions and various jurisdictions. His extensive knowledge of international taxation, financial centres, and offshore jurisdictions make him a formidable legal partner. So, with that all said, Ahmed, good to have you on the show. Thank you for coming.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the introduction and for hosting me. And I'm very excited to start the conversation.
Fantastic. Well, this is very much a mentoring podcast for younger lawyers. And I think everyone's always fascinated about how people come into law. And I do happen to know that you've got 3 older sisters who are lawyers and a father who's a lawyer. So I can imagine there were strong influences. But tell me a little bit about your background and where you grew up, because I know that you're not actually from Dubai.
Yes, absolutely. I am from Egypt. I grew up in Cairo. And as you rightly said, I grew up in a family of lawyers. And not just that, I mean, my dad was a huge and is until now is a huge influence on me professionally because I really look up to him and all his achievements as well. And I think his effect reached the whole family that my sisters wanted to study law, all of them in different universities, and some studied in Arabic only, some studied in Arabic and English, but we all studied in Cairo University. And even my eldest sister, she finished business administration and she joined law school afterwards. So she had 2 degrees from Cairo University. And yeah, that's the upbringing. And because my dad's office was just 2 blocks away from home, it was a place for me to go to whenever I have spare time. So I used to work since I think I was 7 years old when I entered the office with some duties to rearrange the bookshelf or to arrange power of attorneys when I was very young. So I started quite early. So I'm very familiar with the law firm life since very, very young age.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Sounds like you literally grew up in the law firm office. So almost no choice, actually. I mean, did you even consider any other career path?
I did really. I was fascinated by art in general, and I did a lot of art and sketching and painting. And I thought one day that I will pursue a career in that. But law was always attracting me with all the, I don't know, new occasions and new news on something that always the law touch our life somehow. And it always drew me back. Engineering and architecture took me for a while, media a little bit, while I'm actually going back to media now more and more with the podcasting and with some work I do. But still, everything was very easy for me to be drawn back to law in every aspect. And I did consider other things, but nothing beat the legal profession, honestly. It's so exciting. I just love it. And I think you cannot survive really well in this profession if you don't really love it.
That's absolutely true. Passion for justice and helping people is absolutely key. So I don't know a lot about the Egyptian legal system, and I'm sure that many of our listeners don't either. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Is it sort of a civil law or a common law? What are the foundations for your system?
It's really a civil law system, and it's one of the very earliest systems in the Middle East in general. So that's why you probably find most of the law schools of the Middle East have somehow go back to the Egyptian civil code, and they have Egyptian scholars and Egyptian books, and they all make references to the Egyptian law. We had, even in the political history of Egypt, most of the politicians and the big leaders in Egypt, they graduate from law school. And it's one of the biggest countries in terms of the number of lawyers graduated every year. We have so many law schools. Even in Cairo, we have more than 18 law schools in one city, and it's growing now with private schools that they started to teach law as well. It was in the beginning only local universities, and now private universities as well are involved in this. So it's a civil law system, and with a very big population, there is huge need for big number of lawyers and legal services providers. I think it's also a unique jurisdiction where there's so many lawyers and so many bar associations even within the same city, because, for example, Cairo is more than 20 million people in one city, and you cannot have one bar association catering for all the lawyers there. So we have the big bar of Cairo, and we have an extension bar associations for every district.
Wow, that's fascinating. I would love to go to Egypt, you can imagine. We've always seen those amazing pyramids and all of those things, but I'm sure Cairo itself is very modern and, as you say, full of lawyers. So fascinating. So, what is the training like to become a lawyer? You know, in the UK, we do a training contract. So, we usually do a law degree or a non-law degree, and then we would go to law school, and then we would do roughly a 2-year training contract, but some sort of training, and then you qualify. What's it like in Egypt?
Well, right now is a bit different than what I used to have, but the fundamentals again are the same. So the law school in Egypt, depending on which university, is usually a 4-year program that the students have to go to, and those ones who qualify to the public schools, at least the Cairo University or Helwan University or Alexandria, the most famous, they have to get a certain degree in high school to be able to qualify to go to the law school, and then they apply. And based on the need for each university every year, they have a quota of number of the people who they accept, and they choose from the graduates of the high school who are the applicants. It's not a per profile acceptance like the system in the US and other countries, but it is basically a democratized system where if you reach certain level and you have certain studies in your high school, you are eligible. So if you ask for it, you will get it in certain universities. But in the private universities are quite different, because when you go there, you will be on a selection basis based on your studies and based on the fee structure as well, because some of the private universities are quite unaffordable for other people. And then after you graduate from the law school in Cairo, you will have to go in a training period, which is at least a year for a practicing lawyer. And then you will go for the bar application with the bar association where you work. So you have to provide evidence that you did work and evidence on contribution in some cases, like power of attorneys and some memos that was drafted and given to the court itself. And then afterwards, you will have an oral interview, kind of an exam to pass the bar, and then you get qualification. Then with the bar, you of course have the gradual progress on what you can do, and later on you are able to do appeal or to present your clients with cassation and so on. So it's a gradual system, and it takes a bit of time. It's very well known that in Egypt that you have the big law firms or the smaller size or the famous law firms and the boutique ones. And every one of the students, they try their best during the university days to apply to the firms to get the training contract. And the very good things that a lot of law firms really accept to take the students, and they accommodate as much as they can, mostly unpaid, of course, as you know. And they will just, to get the training is really not an easy one. I mean, there's a trend now to start paying interns who are getting a training contract. Sorry, in an internship basis, when they are students, they usually get an unpaid internship. Some of the big firms do pay. And it's the same here in the UAE as well. It's very hard to get because most of the firms have a limited number where they can accept, because they're partners consider really that these opportunities have to be attended to and taken in consideration with care, because these students, we care about them, we care about the future, to be our colleagues in the future. We want them to be really to learn something, and if they really want to learn something, they will have to spend some time. So even in my firm, I don't take internships that is requested for 1 week or 10 days internship. That makes no sense. If you're not there for 30 days to really learn something and to try to interact with everybody in the firm, understand what is it and so on, it makes no sense. But it is like that. And most firms, they try to for the fresh graduates to start, of course, on a paid level. But during my time, for example, we worked as graduates for no fee, just to get to learn a bit. Yeah,
Wow, it sounds quite elitist. I mean, it sounds like obviously with your father being a lawyer, you were well
I was
set up.
lucky. I
Yes.
was really lucky because I got to intern in his office during the university days. I was not taken as the son of the managing partner at all, and this is probably why I understood that it's really a work of passion. If you like it, you stay, because it's hard.
Right. And now you are a corporate and commercial lawyer. So tell me a bit about what drew you to that area of law and also sort of generally what your experience was in your early career.
Well, in my early career, as I explained, that during my uni days and even before that, I was interning in my dad's office. So I was doing mostly admin work. But then from this admin work, you learn a lot about the documentation of what the flow of law firm, how it works, and especially in litigation, because that's where my dad's firm was. And then I started basically my professional career here in the UAE in 2008 with a Swiss law firm, which was a corporate structuring, focusing on corporate structuring and corporate and commercial matters. And we worked a lot in M&A transactions, and that's where I specialize, and I like it a lot, and helping entrepreneurs and businessmen relocate to the UAE or start up their businesses. And that's where I am today. And my early days basically was trying to understand what entrepreneurs need and what people who are coming to do business in the UAE want and how to do business here. And in the beginning was really a lot of running around to understand how the UAE work, because then I will be teaching this or educating my clients about it, because that would be the service. Big part of it was being mentored by my colleagues who were my managers at that time. But another big part was actually learning by doing. And because no one's going to be telling you everything and how it works, even if they know that, they would like you to understand how it works on your own, because this is how you actually learn.
Absolutely. Yeah. Learning by
Self-learning
doing.
is a very big one.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. So that's quite interesting. You were relatively junior when you moved across to the UAE and spotted this opportunity in an environment full of entrepreneurs and business and obviously investment and excitement. And as you mentioned, you yourself as an expat coming into a new place and understanding how it works and then applying that knowledge for other people who are new entrants after you. But at some point, you then became a partner and launched your own firm. So tell me a bit about that leap, because it's not always a natural progression. Many people stay put where they are, quite happy, sometimes just in one firm, sometimes they might move to a couple of firms, but very few people actually found their own firms. You have to be an entrepreneur and have that kind of drive to be a business owner. So tell me about that journey.
I'll take you a little bit back to maybe the year 2004, when I was at law school already. And of course, as a student, I work with my dad a little bit, but maybe it doesn't pay me much because I'm just a student doing admin work, but I wanted to do extra. And I found this opportunity in a company that was helping entrepreneurs to start up their businesses. And it was a nonprofit association in Cairo, and it was teaching entrepreneurship. So in order for them to spread this, they needed people who are university students to learn and then to spread this knowledge. So I worked in spreading entrepreneurship knowledge in Egypt when I was at university days. So I fell in love with starting up a business and how to think of the location, how to do a feasibility study or a business plan, and how to grow a business or make a decision. What are the problems and the mistakes they do? And then with my legal studies as well, at the same time working with the entrepreneurs and teaching entrepreneurship after I learned about it, I was fascinated by the involvement of the law in every step of the decision or fixing the problems for entrepreneurs. And this probably was the trigger always that I never was away from the entrepreneurs in my business or in my thoughts because I was teaching it and then I was helping them. That's number one. And the number two element, I guess, that helped me a lot is that seeing my dad working as a lawyer as well, I understood a lot about the whole ecosystem of the law firm. And I understood that if you really care about your clients and your customers, you will never an employee. And it doesn't matter what is your role in your company. If you take ownership of just your job, you will never feel that you work for someone and you work for the client or you work for the service. So, to be very honest, I never felt that I work as an employee and I'm making a step to start up my own firm. I always felt ownership on I care about the client so much. I care about my company so much. I care about the service that we do to be the best. So it was for me a decision because of a strategy that I wanted to follow. I couldn't do it with my firm where I used to work for 6 years, and I'm very thankful for everything I learned there. But I realized I cannot grow more. I cannot change things. I cannot apply some strategies. Probably the only way to do it is to start up on my own. And that was the reason. But I say it a lot. I don't think I made any switch from an employee to an entrepreneur brain because it was already there from the beginning. I had the feeling of ownership from day one when I was working as a legal consultant.
But once you'd launched your own firm, tell me about how you fostered the right culture that you wanted to cultivate there.
By mistakes.
Oh,
I did a, I did a lot of mistakes. Even with my background, I guess, with all the mistakes that I learned at my dad's office and for the Swiss firm that I used to work for that I saw and I wanted to change, I had to do my own mistakes to make the learnings. No, I think it's of course I read so many books and I tried to take so many manuals to understand how to start up a firm, what is the correct structure, how to hire people, what questions to ask, and so on. But nothing teach you or get you to define what you really want to do, to define your own values and your own corporate culture, unless you actually make a lot of mistakes and then you make the changes. And I think on every 5 years or every 4 years, I have a learning by a mistake, a big one that develops my firm from one place to the other, and I'm still learning. It's just even with everything I have today, I'm pretty sure there's something that will happen tomorrow that I will learn from, and it's a work in progress. And I think everyone is like that.
can you share some examples of some of these mistakes so that anyone else starting a firm might learn?
Oh yes, I'll share two things with you very quickly. There was an incident where I lost a lot of data, and that was 2019. I lost a lot of data because of the server problem, and because of this data, I had to rebuild a lot. And I spent a lot of money on rebuilding some of the documents that we have, and we even hired one more person just to be able to collect the data and explain myself very much with my clients why did we lose this data and sorry, and it was a big deal. And at that time, from that learning and from that mistake, I fixed a lot and I decided I'm not going to rely anymore on any infrastructure, electronic infrastructure that will not allow me to be 100% remote. And I switched in 2019 to be 100% remote from every single aspect in the office operations. And then the COVID happened. And I was like, wow, I'm so lucky. And it's just a proof that these mistakes come for a reason. They never just happen like that. You have to act on each one of these mistakes or these occasions. And I was very lucky to be very much ready 100% when the COVID happened because of a small mistake that is not really related to remote work.
That's fascinating. I think it shows, though, that you've got a mindset around, the belief that things happen for a reason and that actually there is serendipity. There is a way of looking at things on the bright side. So it sounds like you've got quite a positive mindset. And what would you say are some of your characteristics and traits as a leader?
I I don't know if I can say that about myself, but I am very flexible to admit that I am wrong. And I think this is a very good thing for anybody who's constantly making achievements or constantly in a place where a lot of people tell him, bravo, you're doing amazing job and so on. And you humble yourself a lot to understand that this is just a step on the way and you will have to expect that you're wrong. You also don't get shocked when a problem happens. So you are kind with yourself, you're kind with the mistake, and you're able to fix it quickly. This, I think, is one of the things that makes my life very easy. And I learned it by a mistake. And I always, at some point, I thought that I know it all and I'm too young and I'm a managing partner in a firm and I did very well. I started my firm in 2013 and I was 30 something, very early 30s as a managing partner, hiring people and so on. I thought so much of myself at that time. And the hits I got is what taught me that you're just humble yourself and learn something. So now I'm expecting everyone to tell me I'm wrong, and I'm very happy to learn why and develop and learn something new from my daughter or from my colleague, from someone who's just passing by. No problem at all with that.
So tell me a bit about your business development activities and the various networks and things that you have created.
Again, I'll take you back a few years when because as you said, I grew up in a law firm. I saw how business development worked. I saw my dad's technique on talking about himself and how he marketed himself by talking and how did it work for him to get some referrals. And sometimes it was publishing something in a newspaper and waiting for it to open it and see, my firm name is mentioned here and so on. And then to have a TV commercial or some spots here and there in the radio. And then that whole media and business development and referral business and networking and communities and all of this, these are all developments from the 80s to 90s to the early 2000s till now. So I've seen it. I lived it. I even practiced the old style business development before. And the good thing about where we are today is that everything is much more accessible than before. So what I'm doing now is really what works today. So being part of Emirates Legal Network is a huge advantage for every lawyer. It's something I started because it did not exist. It was a problem that I was trying to find a solution for. There was no social society or professional society for lawyers in the UAE. And I started to feel like, okay, I need to network, I need to find lawyers, and it's very hard. Yes, I'm in a community in the IFC, but there's so much beyond the IFC in Abu Dhabi, in Sharjah, and Ajman, and even inside Dubai, there's so many people. So how to connect everyone? So I started networking myself. I learned a lot about networking until I managed to start, okay, let me found this organization myself. And this is a big, huge part of business development is to put yourself in the right network with the right people to be known and to know more. The same happened with the Jurist when I decided to say, okay, It's very hard to find legal knowledge here and in English in a practical manner, because I always get this complaint from clients is that the legal articles or the is full of jargon, and the legal knowledge that is shared on the news or in the newspaper on some professional magazines are so rigid. We don't understand what it means. Why don't you write or tell me things in an easier way? And instead of just keeping this on a consultancy basis between me and my clients, I started to invite my friends, lawyers, colleagues, guys, let's create this blog and let's explain everything in an easy language that your wife and your friend who is not a lawyer understand, so that we promote ourselves and we do a little bit of business development for us, and it grow so much that hundreds of lawyers are writing articles, and then we move to the audio topics, and then we move to the podcast, and this is part of it. The legal knowledge spreading and the information and the value we put out there is the biggest part of business development, and this is how it works nowadays. Back in the days, it didn't work in this way. It worked in a completely different way, but it worked for that time. Now it works here. I think 5 years from now is going to change again. 10 years from now is going to change again. The ability to adapt and to be flexible enough to understand what works today and what should be done today is the thing.
Yeah, so it sounds like you've built a really big network with those two platforms and a podcast as well, reaching a much wider audience. But as you say, giving back to the community in terms of explaining legal things, but in simple terms that the average person can understand. So, thinking about young people, so we're hearing a lot about the advent of AI, and many people are concerned about what that means for younger people, because there are certain AI tools now that are the equivalent of, say, a trainee or a very junior lawyer. What are your thoughts and advice for a young person considering law at this stage?
I think it is a remarkable moment of time for anybody who would like to pursue this career. It's amazing as well that the generation who are now ready to start studying law are at a very good advantage. They have an advantage of knowledge that a lot of other generations did not have. And they don't just have advantage in the accessibility that they have access to knowledge, but they also have amazing skills. So the generations of, I don't know, 14 years old and up to 15, 16, 17, the young generation are pursuing now education, now they want to study law. The set of skills that they already possess are amazing. This is something that when I was teaching entrepreneurship back in the days, we were telling people you have to learn English, you have to learn how to use a computer, you have to learn how to use the internet, and you have to familiarize yourself with research skills. The generation of today, they already have all of this as a given for them. This is their language. This is the language that they master from the age of 10 years old. They already argue with you with the AI capabilities that none of what you say is just taken for granted. We're going to verify every word you say. So they are so capable of becoming unbelievably smart and good lawyers. So I think in the next 10, 20 years, we're going to have people who are unbelievably capable and smart. So the new generation of lawyers that's coming up are going to outgrow every smart lawyer who exists today, because the skill set that they have and access to knowledge using the AI and the globalization of knowledge in general is unbelievable. So there will be a lawyer who is resident in Egypt, for example, who is qualified from UK, mediating between or arbitrating in the US with amazing knowledge and skills because of the internet and the AI and the access to knowledge. And this is going to happen very soon because part of it is already happening today.
What about doing business in the Middle East? So there are certain business etiquettes and things that are a little bit different between different cultures. And so if you're someone, let's say from Europe, and you're coming to Dubai, and let's say you're an owner of a very small law firm here in London, and you want to go to Dubai, explore, do some business development, what are the kind of things that people need to understand about how business is done in the Middle East?
The few points maybe I would try to highlight some of the most important. In the Middle East, you will have to understand that relationships work very, very well, and they are very important as well. It's not because you are a lawyer of a top university that all the doors are open for you. It's not like that. You have to have good relationships with your colleagues and your managers and so on. So the relationships work very well, very important internally and externally as well. So in order for you to be able to make clients, in order for you to be chosen as the counsel of a certain company as in-house, for example, or to be chosen as a lawyer in a local Emirati law firm or an international firm, you must have relations, because relationships here are very, very important. People like to do business with people they like very much, and people like to do business with people they trust very much, and with people who are showing a lot of value. And at the end of the day, it's not just it not it, everything doesn't really have to happen by the book 100%. Not considering the relationships is not because you're saying the best legal advice on paper you will expect that people will run after you to find you. That doesn't work here. What happens is that you need to show off your skills, you need to show off yourself, you need to be out there, you need to network, you need to put yourself in the right community, you need to advertise your services because people don't know what you do. It's very, very important here in the Middle East in general, not just in UAE, to be honest. It's a thing in Saudi, it's a thing in Lebanon, it's a thing in Qatar, in Egypt, in Jordan. Most of these countries, relationships work very well. That's probably one thing. Money also is not a deal breaker in the Middle East because of the relationship part. Many clients don't choose you because you are the cheapest or the most cost effective. They see value in many other things. So many lawyers come to the UAE as new lawyers, and I've seen this in the last few years, that they try to price themselves lower than anyone to be able to take a big portion of the business. And they don't succeed in that because relationships work very well. And your image as a lawyer, as a professional, your knowledge and so on makes a big difference. So price is not really the main factor. It makes a difference for sure. It has to be value for money, but it is not the only factor here.
And so, what about for young lawyers? Any other advice you've got for young professionals at the moment?
Absolutely. I would say focus a lot on yourself, focus a lot on your skills. What do you do with your life in general? What do you eat? When do you wake up? Do you work out or not? Do you study or not? Do you learn something new every month or not? What is the content you consume every day? Stop worrying about which firm is going to hire me. Stop worrying about how much money I'm going to make in the first year or the second year, because your focus will be really in the wrong place. You have to really be, I say it like, be selfish. Think about yourself mainly. Am I developing my brain? Am I developing my skills? Am I developing my capabilities? Am I growing my knowledge? And automatically, you're going to get the best job. You're going to be in the best community. You're going to be known for the best traits. So you just need to focus a lot on yourself, and everything else happen automatically and quickly as well. You just need to focus a lot on yourself, because a lot of people focus on their colleagues, their managers, how to please these guys and how to present myself in the best way in an interview, or how to dress up fancy, or this is all not useful. If you are a person of value, if you are a person of knowledge, you automatically get the best.
I do think that people who are well-rounded are more interesting and engaging. And certainly from a client perspective, you want to work with people who are affable, responsive, and nice people to work with. And I always recommend to younger lawyers that they should maintain hobbies, that they shouldn't just be 100% just work, work, work and be dull, basically. So do you have any interests and hobbies outside work?
Oh, yes, a lot. I do a lot of sports. I do horse riding. And what else do I do? We do a lot of long walks, yogas. Me and my son, we play basketball a lot. And I do a lot of reading as well from time to time. But maybe podcasting is a hobby, honestly. And I do podcasting with lawyers. Networking is a hobby. So I do a lot with Emirates Legal Network. There's this say that if you really love what you do, you never work one day in your life. I'm not sure who said that, but it's amazing say, because I spend tremendous amount of hours on my business, on podcasting, on the nonprofit we do in Emirates Legal Network. I find them as hobbies. I really love these things and I enjoy a lot. So sometimes some of my friends who are not from the legal field, they say, do you do anything else other than law? And I tell them, guys, this is a hobby. I do this. I take my friends from Emirates Legal Network to ride horses. I do. I mix them together. If you really love what you're doing, you will always find a way to connect to your hobbies and you will enjoy a lot. So, for example, in a week time, I love yoga. I do a lot and I organize an event for Emirates Legal Network for the lawyers because I know that our back is affected a lot from the long hours sitting and some of us can't touch their toes, for example. So we created an event, a yoga one. It's called I Can't Touch My Toes for the lawyers or bring the lawyers to do some yoga.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. Yes, promoting movement and yoga, flexibility of mind and body and spirit. So, how can people get in touch with you if they want to join your yoga session or any of your networks? Where should they reach out?
Well, LinkedIn is the best way to reach out to me because I'm always there. I try to spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. I'm very active in social media in general. So I have YouTube, I have Instagram, I have TikTok. So I'm posting everywhere. So just message me on any of my social media platforms. So for the legal community, I guess it's easier to find me on LinkedIn. My name is Ahmed Elnaggar, or you can find me through the Jurist, Elnaggar Partners, or Emirates Legal Network. I'm always there.
My goodness, I don't know how you manage to fit it all in your day. It sounds very, very busy, but
I'm I'm revealing all the secrets in my book.
oh, you're writing a book? Tell us about
Yes.
your book.
I'm writing a book about the jurist and about how did I create the harmony between practicing law, working with the community, and developing the podcast and finding happiness in between.
That sounds amazing. So, when is this going to be launched?
I'm writing it now. I'm almost done, and I think before the end of the year.
Okay, well, I obviously would love a free copy. Please do send me one. And
Absolutely.
that will be great to read that when that comes out. I'm looking forward to it. So thank you so much for your time today, Ahmed.
Thank you very much. And it was an exciting conversation. And thanks for the very thoughtful questions.
Thank you.